What we need to do in here, right, is subscribe to the observable, kind of create a promise, right, that will resolve when we get the first value, and resolve the promise with a signal when we get the first value. Like the kind of normal flavored version, the streaming resource says, I'm going to give you data, but I'm going to give you a signal of that data because that data can change over time. So when I might have new values for you at some point, and I want to be able to tell you about those. So RX resource, we'll just kind of sketch out the API for it here. We have the kind of request object, right? Which is, I'm just going to, make this generic as we need to. We have the request object that you pass in. This is like our signal of the user ID that we want to load. And then you have some loader function. And this loader function says, okay, I know how to take the request and produce an observable of the thing that we actually want to return. So every time the request changes, we're going to get back an observable that's going to tell us what the data should be, we should return from the resource for that request. And because it's an observable, it can produce multiple values over time. And it can also kind of be successful, and suddenly fail with an error. Observables have that error channel that can kind of end the stream by saying something went wrong. And maybe that's the only thing that happens is you get an error back on the channel. And so what we're going to do is map this to a call to the resource API using the stream loader. And so this will return, just to kind of keep our TypeScript straight, this will return a T. So we're going to return a resource here. And our request is just the same kind of pass-through, right? We're like the underlying resource uses the same request signature. But the difference here is that we're going to return a stream load. And the stream loader says we get a hold of the request, the individual request that we want to make. And we need to produce from this a promise of the result that we're returning, the promise of the value of the stream over time. What we need to do in here, right, is subscribe to the observable, kind of create a promise, right, that will resolve when we get the first value, and resolve the promise with a signal when we get the first value. Just put these as separate steps here. I often write code like this where you kind of comment out what you want to happen first, and then you follow these steps.
We love this.
Yeah, keeps my brain organized, and then continue to update the signal when we get more values. And of course, along the way, we have to deal with error handling, right? And eventually we also want to, it's worth noting here, unsubscribe, right, when the resource is cleaned up, either because of the switch map or because someone actually just destroys the whole page.